Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Attorney Job Vlogger, Law for the Everyday Layman. Today we continue with the law of negotiable instruments and we'll be taking up foreign bills, acceptance for honor, payment for honor, and bills in assent. Okay? So if you like my videos and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe button. Also, please remember that this is only for educational purposes and is not a substitute for proper legal advice or for studying and understanding the law. Okay? So what are foreign bills? A foreign bill is one which is or on its face purports to be drawn in the Philippines but payable outside the Philippines, or payable in the Philippines but drawn outside the Philippines. Okay? So for instance, let's say it can be drawn in the Philippines, Manila, Philippines, but payable outside, California, USA. Okay? So that's just an example of a foreign bill, okay? As contrasted with an inland bill, which is both drawn and payable in the Philippines, okay? Now, we just have to talk about foreign bills because there is an additional step when it comes to foreign bills when we compare it to the steps in enforcement in normal bills of exchange. Okay, if you remember my previous discussion, we have presentment for acceptance, presentment for payment, notice of dishonor, and that's practically the same also in foreign bills, except that in foreign bills there is what is known as a protest. Okay, foreign bills require a protest in case of dishonor. Okay, protest is simply a formal instrument executed usually by a notary, a notary public, certifying that certain legal steps which are necessary to fix the liability of the drawee and endorsers have been taken. Okay, it's the formal declaration of the fact of non-payment executed by the proper person, usually the notary public. Okay, so just remember that this is necessary only in foreign bills of exchange which have been dishonored either by non-acceptance or non-payment. Okay? And the failure to make protest, if the party who is supposed to make protest fails to make a protest, then the effect is it discharges the drawer and endorsers, namely the parties secondarily liable. Okay? Now, there are instances where protest is absolutely required. Okay? First, upon dishonor by non-acceptance of a foreign bill. Okay? Second, dishonor by non-payment of a foreign bill if it was not previously dishonored by non-acceptance. Okay? The first and the second are both found in section 152. Okay? Third, when protest is absolutely required. Before a bill can be accepted for honor, it must be protested for dishonor by non-acceptance or protested for better security. That's section 161. Fourth, when protest is absolutely required, before a bill can be presented for payment to the acceptor for honor or a referee in case of need, it must be protested by the holder for non-payment to any party liable thereon. Okay? Now, let's just talk for a bit about referee in case of need, If a dishonored bill has been accepted for honor supra protest or has a referee in case of need, it has to be protested for non-payment before it is presented to the acceptor for honor or referee in case of need. And who is this referee in case of need, Under section 131, he is simply the person named by the drawer or the endorser as the one to whom the holder may resort in case of need. Okay? Which is in case yung need, in case of need, that's the case where the bill is dishonored by non-acceptance or non-payment, so that the holder can now go to the referee in case of need. Now take note that it's not mandatory for the holder to go to or to resort to the referee in case of need, in case of dishonor, And how do we know there's a referee in case of need? So let's just say, you don't have to look at this, it's just pay to X or order 1,000, and then under that statement or as part of the same sentence, it says in case of need, apply to Y. Okay? So it's just pay to X or order 1,000, and in case of need, apply to Y. Okay? And Y is the referee in need. Okay? Now, back to the matter at hand, no? The fifth instance when protest is absolutely required is upon the dishonor of the bill by the acceptor for honor for non-payment by the acceptor for honor. No, this is under section 170. And finally, the last case where protest is absolutely required is before a bill can be paid for honor, it must be protested by the holder for non-payment by any party who is liable on the instrument. Okay? Take note, these rules that I'm talking about, no, yung foreign bills and acceptance for honor and payment for honor and bills in a set, they only apply to bills of exchange. No, they will not apply to promissory notes. Just keep that in mind. I'll be repeating it naman. Okay? Now, what's the purpose or what are the purposes of requiring protest? No. First, protest is required for uniformity in international transactions. And second, it's in order to furnish an authentic and satisfactory evidence of dishonor to the drawer. Okay? Because the drawer may be residing abroad and he'll experience difficulty in verifying, no, or in finding out or confirming the fact of dishonor. Okay? So he can only rely on the representations of the holder. So the protest is meant to avoid uncertainty. How? Through an authentication under a notarized instrument. Okay? So it attests to the fact of dishonor. And how do we know if protest is sufficiently made? The requisites are as follows. Okay? First, protest must be made by either the notary or any respectable resident of the place where the bill is dishonored in the presence of two or more credible witnesses. Okay? Second, the protest must either be annexed to the bill or the protest must contain a copy of the bill. Third, the protest must be under the hand and seal of the notary making it. And finally, there are certain formalities, no? The protest must specify the time and place of presentment, the fact that presentment was made, and the manner of presentment. Third, the cause or reason for protesting the bill. And finally, the demand and the answer given, if any, or the fact that the drawee or acceptor could not be found. Okay? So the authentication of the notary, no, is the proof of the drawee's refusal to accept or to pay the bill. Okay? And the main purpose of the certificate of protest is to do away with the need to prove the fact of presentment, demand, non-payment, and notice of dishonor by witnesses in court. Okay? However, just take note, no, that this is only prima facie evidence of the facts stated therein. In other words, that certificate of protest can be rebutted or disproved by evidence to the contrary. Okay? Now, take note where a bill has already been protested for non-acceptance. Okay? Protest for non-payment is only discretionary. Remember, in my previous discussion under Section 151, presentment for payment is not necessary after the bill has been dishonored for non-acceptance. Okay? Because if the drawee did not accept, then there is no reason for you to expect that he will pay. Okay? Now, when must protest be made? Of course, it must be made on the day of dishonor unless delay is excused. Okay? Now, the certificate of protest itself does not have to be made on the day itself. Baka busy yung notaryo, no? Okay? But the notary public must at least make a note, no, duly noted, of the facts, especially of the date of dishonor. Okay? And where do you make protest? It is at the place where the instrument is dishonored, except that, no, take note, except that a bill dishonored by non-acceptance must be protested for non-payment at the place where it is expressed to be payable. If that place is different from the place of business or residence of the drawee. Okay? Now, when can protest be excused? No? If you just take note of my previous discussions, because protest may be excused for any of the grounds where the giving of notice of dishonor is also excused. And the delay in giving protest, the rule is also similar, no? Delay in giving protest is excused when caused by circumstances beyond the control of the the holder, no, and the protest must still be given when the cause of the delay ceases. Okay, similar to the rule in my previous discussions. Okay, now let's talk about this animal called the protest for better security. No, it is simply this protest for a better security is one made by the holder of a bill after it has been accepted but before it matures. It is made against the drawer and endorsers, no, where the acceptor has been adjudged a bankrupt or insolvent. Okay? So the purpose of this protest for better security is simply to give the acceptor an opportunity to perform an act which will ensure payment. Okay? It's purely optional on the part of the holder, and the failure or omission to give a protest for better security will not affect the holder's remedy to go after the drawer and endorsers. Okay? And finally, if a bill is lost, destroyed, or wrongfully detained, protest must still be made. Okay? Why? Because of the contract of the parties is not affected by the fact that the bill is lost, destroyed, wrongfully detained. No? When you make the protest, you simply make a copy of the instrument and attach it to the protest. Okay? Now we can move on to acceptance for honor, which is otherwise known as acceptance supra protest. No? Acceptance supra protest. And acceptance for honor is simply an undertaking by a stranger. Okay? Take note, stranger to the bill. It's an undertaking by a stranger to the bill after protest. Okay? For the benefit of any party liable on the instrument on the bill, or for the honor of the person for whose account the bill is drawn. So it can be for anybody, or it can be for the honor of the person for whose account the bill is drawn. Okay? Now, in case of acceptance, no, for honor, no, that acceptance will inure to the benefit of all parties subsequent to the person for whose honor it is accepted and conditioned to pay the bill when it becomes due, if the original payee does not pay it. Meaning, if the note was negotiated to X, then to Y, then to Z, then A, B, C, D, E, if the bill was accepted accepted for honor in favor of A, then B, C, D, E, the parties subsequent to A, are benefited by that acceptance for honor. Okay? And the purpose of this acceptance for honor is simply to preserve the credit of the parties to the instrument. Okay? Or some other party to the instrument, no? For whose honor the acceptance is made. Okay? So, just remember, it's to preserve the credit, no? In other words, no, this stranger, okay, that someone desires to protect the credit of another person who is party to the bill. And of course, in this case, consideration is presumed, and the presumption is that the acceptor for honor either has funds or money of that party for whom he accepts for honor. Okay? Now, for acceptance for honor to be valid, no, there are certain requisites. First, the bill must have been protested for dishonor by non-acceptance or for better security. Okay? Take note again, this applies only to bills of exchange, and there must have been protest. Okay? Second, the acceptor for honor must be a stranger to the bill. He's not a party, whether drawee, payee, endorser. No, he's not a party to the bill. He's a stranger. Third, the holder must consent to the acceptance for honor. Fourth, the bill must not be overdue. And fifth, it must follow the formalities of Section 162. And what are these? No? First, it must be in writing. Second, it must indicate that it is an acceptance for honor. Third, it must be signed by the acceptor for honor. Fourth, it should contain either an express or implied promise to pay money. And fifth, the accepted bill for honor must be delivered to the holder. Okay? Now, as a general rule, in our discussions earlier, no, when it comes to bills of exchange, as a general rule, it's only the drawee who may accept, no? However, these provisions on acceptance for honor, no, will serve as an exception, in which case the stranger may accept if he has the bill, no? If he is an acceptor for honor. Okay? The acceptor for honor cannot be a party to the bill. Because if he is a party to the bill, then there is no such thing as additional security. Okay? The acceptor for honor accepts it to give additional security. Okay? So, take note that where there has been an acceptance for honor for one party, there may be a further acceptance by a different person, okay, for the honor of another party. So, there can be several acceptances for honor, okay? And just also take note that the consent of the holder is required. Why is the consent of the holder required? Because his right to collect the sum is suspended until the maturity of the bill, okay? And finally, this may be the acceptance for honor may be given either expressly or impliedly. And how will we know if it's given impliedly? Under section 163, where an acceptance for honor does not expressly state, for whose honor it is made, it is deemed to be an acceptance for the honor of the drawer. Okay? Now, what's the liability of this acceptor for honor? The acceptor for honor is liable to the holder and to all parties to the bill subsequent to that party. As I said earlier, if it's accepted for honor in favor of A, then B, C, D, E are benefited. Okay? So, by such acceptance, the acceptor for honor engages that he will, on due presentment, pay the bill according to the terms of his acceptance. In other words, he can give a qualified acceptance. The acceptance for honor may be partial, meaning for part of the amount only. Okay? So, again, the acceptor for honor, by such acceptance, engages that he will, on due presentment, pay the bill according to the terms of his acceptance, provided, take note provided that first, it has not yet been paid by the drawee. Second, it was presented for payment. Third, it was protested for non-payment. And fourth, that notice of dishonor was given to him. Okay? Now, when the acceptor for honor accepts the instrument, it's not an absolute engagement to pay. Okay? He just accepts it for honor, when he accepts for honor, it's only a collateral and conditional engagement to pay in case the drawee does not pay. Okay? So, in other words, the acceptor for honor is only secondarily liable. Okay? Now, if the acceptor for honor does not pay the bill in case he accepted it, the holder must now protest the bill for non-payment. Okay? So, in this case, there will now be 3 protests. Okay? First, was the protest for dishonor by non-acceptance. Then second, protest for non-payment by the drawee in order to hold the acceptor for honor liable. And the third protest, which just happened now, is the protest for non-payment by the acceptor for honor in order to hold the drawer and endorsers liable. Okay? Now, if a dishonored bill has been accepted for honor supra protest, or has a referee in case of need, just remember the rule, it has to be presented for payment before it has to be protested for non-payment before it is presented to the acceptor for honor or referee in case of need. Okay? Again, if a dishonored bill has been accepted for honor supra protest or has a referee in case of need, it must be protested for non-payment before it is presented to the acceptor for honor or referee in case of need. Okay? So, that's it for acceptance for honor, Now we can go to payment for honor. And this is simply payment made by a person, whether a party to the bill or not, Acceptance for honor has to be a stranger. Payment for honor, it doesn't matter. It can be a stranger or it can be a party to the bill. Okay? So it is payment made by a person, whether a party to the bill or not, after it has been protested for non-payment for the benefit of any party liable on the instrument or for the benefit of the person for whose account it was drawn. Again, take note that the rules on payment of honor only apply to bills of exchange. No, it doesn't apply to promissory notes. Okay? So what are the requisites for a valid payment for honor rather, no? First, no, the bill should have been dishonored by non-payment. Okay? Second, the bill was protested for non-payment. Third, payment for honor, supra protest, no, is made by any person, even a party to the bill, no? Meaning that even a drawee, after he has refused to accept the bill, or even the drawer, he can pay for honor, no? And fourth, payment is attested by a notarial act of honor, which must be appended or attached to the protest or form an extension thereto, no? And finally, the notarial act must be based on the declaration made by the payer for honor or his agent of his intention to pay the bill, no, for honor, and for who, and the person for whose honor he pays. Okay? Now, if those formalities are not complied with, then payment is just a mere voluntary payment. What does this mean, no? The payer will acquire no right to full reimbursement against the party for whose honor he pays, no? This is similar to the rule in Oblicon, no? Just review that, no? And I have a series on Oblicon. Please just watch that, no? Remember that in acceptance for honor, no, the holder's consent is necessary, no? I discussed earlier. But in case of payment for honor, as we're discussing now, the payee or holder cannot refuse payment. Why? Because if he refuses, he cannot recover from the parties who would have been discharged had he accepted it. Okay? Now, payment for honor may be availed of when the holder, knowing that the bill has already been dishonored for non-payment, no, does not want to endorse the bill. Okay, why does he not want to endorse the bill? Because he doesn't want to incur the liabilities of an endorser. Okay, so he resorts to payment for honor. Okay, now what if there are several persons who want to make payment for honor? Okay, how do you choose? Preference, no, is given to the one who will discharge the greatest number of parties, no? So A to Z kunyari, no? There is X wants to discharge A to Z, then since he's the one who can discharge the most parties, the preference will be given to him as compared to, let's say, Y, who wants to only discharge one person, no? Okay, so what are the effects of payment for honor? First, no, all parties subsequent to the party for whose honor it is paid are discharged. Okay? Second effect, the payer for honor is now subrogated and succeeds to the rights and obligations of the holder with regard to the party for whose honor he pays and all parties liable to the latter. Okay? So, if payment is made for the honor of all parties to the bill, then the payer for honor has recourse against all of them, no? He can go against any one of those who benefited from his payment for honor. Okay, he can ask for reimbursement, no? And the right of the payer for honor, no, in case he pays the amount of the bill and the notarial expenses incidental to dishonor, then he is now entitled to receive both the bill itself and the protest, no? Why? No, the purpose of him taking those documents, no? The purpose is to enable him to enforce his rights against those who are liable to him, no? Let's say he accepts, he asks for the surrender of the bill and the protest, and now he wants to get reimbursed from the parties he was able to discharge, no, from the instrument. Now he goes to them, hey, I paid for all your honor, now reimburse me now. Okay, so that's how it works, no? That's it for payment for honor. Now let's finally go to bill in a set, no, or bills in sets. Okay, and bill in a set is simply one that is composed of several parts, and each part is numbered or containing a reference to the other parts, and those parts, no, they constitute only one bill. Okay? And this bill in a set is usually availed of in cases where a bill has to be sent to a distant place, no? Like abroad, no? Through some conveyance. And if each part, no, is sent by different means of conveyance, no? Let's say one is through LBC, one is nakiusap ka lang sa OFW mong kaibigan, no? And the other one by registered mail. Those are different means of conveyances, no? Then the chance that at least one part of that set will reach its destination will be greater, no? The more chances of winning, kumbaga. Okay? And the purpose of making bills in a set, no, is to avoid difficulties in case of loss or miscarriage of the bill. Okay? So, for example, no, here, so this is a bill. It's drawn in Manila, Philippines, no? Okay, and it's the drawee is in California, USA, and X is also in USA, no? The amount is for 1,000, no? These are bills in a set, no? Why? Because every bill contains the same words. Okay, if you look at them closely, they're the same, except that there's an indication of first, second, third. Okay, so you know that which one is it's numbered, no? Okay, and there's also an indication here, second and third unpaid, no? Because this is the first. Okay, so I send this through LBC, I send this through my friend who's going abroad, and I send this through registered mail. Okay, so I do that, no? Even though this is really just one bill, no? I'm not undertaking to pay 3,000, no? This is just 1,000, but I'm sending it through different means because there is more chance, there is a bigger chance that that at least one of these will arrive at the hands of the payee, the intended payee or the holder. Okay? Now, there are certain rules, no? Each part of this bill, no? The first part, second part, third part, no? Each part may be negotiated. Okay? But the holder, no, let's say the holder receives all three. The LBC succeeded, my friend succeeded, and the registered mail succeeded, and the holder now has all three. Okay, even though all of these bills, no, may be negotiated, no, the holder or the payee is not supposed to negotiate all parts. Okay, because the only reason why I did this, no, in making them a set, no, is to obtain greater assurance that at least one part will reach the payee or its destination safely. Okay, so what's the effect now if the holder for some reason negotiates it to different holders, no? Let's say just part 1 and part 2. Let's say X, the holder named here, no, the payee, negotiates this first part to Y, and X also negotiates the second part to Z. Okay, that's only each for 1,000, no? But really, in reality, it's only both bills are only for 1,000, no? In case both Y and Z, to whom these bills are negotiated separately, no? In case Y and Z are both holders in due course, the holder whose title first accrues is considered the true owner. Okay? First in time, priority in right, no? If it was negotiated to Y first, then he has a better right and he's considered the true owner. However, take note, even though Y is considered the true owner because he was first in time and has priority in right, in case Z, it goes to the drawee W, no, the named drawee, and asks for payment, and W pays Z even though Y has the better right, no? If W pays Z in good faith, no? Okay? Then, when Y comes to W to ask for payment now, the drawee W does not have to pay Y anymore. Okay? He can rightfully refuse to accept or pay the bill presented by that holder in due course who became the owner. Okay? So, in other words, the drawee who accepts or pays the bill in due course is not prejudiced by by the rule of who is the true owner. Okay? Again, if Z, even if he is not the true owner because he was the second to receive it, in case he gets paid, the drawee does not have to pay the true owner anymore. Okay? Now, what are the obligations of the holder who endorses two or more parts of the bill in set? In other words, no, the holder, X, okay, he endorsed two or more parts to different persons, Y and Z, no? Earlier, I was discussing the rights of the drawee and Y and Z, no? Now, I'll talk about the obligations of X, who was the one who endorsed this, no? He was the one who caused the controversy. First obligation, no? X, as the holder who negotiated it to two different persons, he shall now be liable on each one. Okay? He is now liable for each bill which was negotiated. And every endorser subsequent to him, no? Let's say Y and Z negotiated further, every endorser subsequent to him is liable on the part that he himself has endorsed, as if such parts were separate bills. Why? Because of the warranties that endorsers make. Please just refer to my previous discussions. No, I explained that now. Okay? Take note, the drawee is not liable for more than one part, since his order is to accept or pay only one part. No? Again, these bills, these are three parts, but they are really just one bill. Okay? And the drawee's order is just to pay the one bill. 1,000 lang ang babayaran niya, hindi yung 3,000. You're not gonna add these all together, ha? Okay, so the drawee's obligation is just to pay for one part. The drawee is required to accept only one part of the bill, no? And the acceptance may be written on any part. Okay? But take note, if the drawee accepts more than one part, he accepts part 1 and part 2, and then they are negotiated to holders in due course, then the drawee will be liable to every holder of the different parts as if such parts were separate bills. Why? Because he already accepted them. Isa lang. Just put the acceptance on one of them. If you put it on both, you're liable for both if they fall into the hands of a holder in due course. Okay? Now, take note that the drawee does not warrant every part of the bill in the set, ha? Okay? Only the part that is accepted by him. Okay? And upon paying the bill, the acceptor should now require the surrender of the part bearing his acceptance. Okay? If he fails to ask for the surrender, hoy, bigay mo sa akin, no? If he fails to ask for it, he will still be liable to a holder in due course for such part in case the holder in due course acquires it. Okay? And finally, just to emphasize, no? Any part of a bill drawn in a set may be negotiated, any of these three. But as far as the drawer is concerned, no? The entire bill is discharged when any part is discharged. Okay? A, the signatory here, no, is discharged, okay, when any part of the bill is discharged by payment or otherwise. Why? Again, because a bill in a set, okay, bill in a set, tong tatlo na to, only constitutes one bill. Okay? So, that's it for the discussion today. I hope you may have picked up a thing or two. And I hope to see you soon, guys. Okay? Bye.